Well, the first results of Nigeria's tightest presidential election since military rule are expected to be out later today. Voting was postponed in some of the districts following reports of violence, and some parties have raised alarm over allegations of irregularities. A record 90 million people registered to vote in yesterday's presidential and parliamentary polls. We cross live now to SABC News correspondent Ajek Mungat, who is in Abuja for us to give us an update. Well, a very good afternoon to you then, Ajek. All right, so counting has started, we understand, as the results are coming in, but there's been, what we hear has been amid some, extended polling, late starts by election officials, and technical difficulties with a voter ID technology created delays in some polling stations. Having said all of that, what is the picture right now?
Well, it's been a long election process since yesterday when polls opened for Nigerians to vote, and the voting was extended in some parts of the country due to security concerns and, of course, the inability of officials to get to certain places. But the INEC chairman, that's Mahmoud Yakubu, is expected to brief the press at any moment from now, and he'll be giving updates on where things stand with regards to the results and some of the reports of voter disruptions and the ongoing process in some parts of the country. We also understand that results are being collated at the state level, and a few have been uploaded to an INEC portal. We understand a little more than 20,000 results have been uploaded into that INEC portal, but that's just at the polling unit level. So we still have to get them collated from the state level, and then the INEC chairman will start announcing the results this afternoon, and he'll be briefing the press any moment from now at the National Collation Center.
Yeah, we're certainly on standby for that particular briefing, and just for our viewers to know that, of course, that screen that you are watching at the moment, there is exactly that briefing that we're to go to. But Ajek, let's talk more then on these elections then. I mean, after 2 terms under President Muhammadu Buhari, I understand that, many Nigerians are hoping for a new leader that they believe can do a better job of tackling, widespread insecurity, joblessness, and growing poverty. All right, we're going to have to cut this interview for now, but we'll come back to you. And in fact, we're going to ask you just to be on standby for us. That's Ajek Mungat, who is in Abuja for us. Let's take you live to that update that we were actually speaking about.
For the presidential election 2023. At this point, we will start the program with the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please, let's rise for the national anthem. Please take your seats. Once more, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the chairman of INEC, who is the Chief Electoral Commissioner, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and who is also the Chief Returning Officer at the presidential election. He will be collating the results from the resident electoral commissioners, and he, by law, will declare the winner of the presidential election. It's Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Chairman, INEC. Please, let's give him a round of applause, please. He's also flanked by National Commissioners of INEC. To his left is Barrister Festus Okoye, a National Commissioner. We also have Professor Sani Adam, SAN, a National Commissioner. To his left is Professor Kunle Ajay, a National Commissioner. And to his left is Professor Abdullahi Abduzuru, a National Commissioner. And to his left is Professor Sani Kala, a National Commissioner. And to his left is Major General Modibo Akali, retired. And then Malam Mohamed Haruna, also a National Commissioner. And to the right of Honorable Chairman of NINEC is Barrister Mrs. Mia Agbamushimbu, a National Commissioner. And then Mr. Kenneth Okiagu, a National Commissioner. And then to his right is Professor Rhoda Gomus, also a National Commissioner. And we have Dr. Bababila, a National Commissioner, to her right. And finally, Mr. Sam Olumekun MNI, a National Commissioner. It's my pleasure to also specially welcome the Inspector General of Police, Usman Akali Baba, CFR, to our midst. A round of applause for the Inspector General, please. It's also my honor and privilege to respectfully recognize the presence of chairmen of some electoral commissions from sister African countries here present. Mr. Jacobs Mwambegele is the chairman of the Electoral Commission of Tanzania. You're welcome, sir. A round of applause for him. We also have Mrs. Elsie Ngikembua, chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Namibia. Is she around? She's here to come. Mrs. Davidetta Lansana, chairperson of National Electoral Commission of Liberia. A round of applause for her, please. All the way from Liberia. We have Ba Isaka Sona, chairman of the Electoral Commission of Niger. You're welcome, sir. We also have Mr. Sakalafia, chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Benin. Welcome, sir. We have Mr. Elsie Oedraogo, chairman Electoral Commission Burkina Faso. Is he around? Maybe he'll soon join us. Also here in Nigeria, Mr. Mohamed Kone, chairman Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. We have Mr. Aliu Muma Njai, chairman Electoral Commission of Gambia. We also have in Nigeria, Mrs. Jane Mensah, chairperson, the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Maybe she will soon join us. It's my pleasure to also recognize together all the chairmen and secretaries of the 18 political parties here present and all the party agents. You are especially welcome to this Collation Center. And all the heads of development agencies here present, members of the INEC Press Corps, and all the journalists here present. You are all welcome. With that, it's my pleasure and privilege to now invite the chairman of INEC to please make a few remarks. Honorable Chairman, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The Inspector General of Police, the agents representing the political parties, national and international observers, members of the diplomatic corps, my colleagues, the chairmen of electoral commissions from East, West, and Southern Africa, representatives of the various security agencies, the media, national and international, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, I welcome you all to the formal opening of the 2023 Presidential Election Results Collation Center. As some of you are aware, collation of presidential election results in Nigeria is done at 4 levels. After the conclusion of voting counting and recording of results at the various polling units. The results are first tallied and collated at the 8,809 registration areas or wards. The collated ward level results are tallied and collated at the 774 local government areas nationwide. Thereafter, they are tallied and collated in each of the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. The collated figures for each state and the Federal Capital Territory are finally collated here in Abuja, where the announcement of the outcome of the election will be made by the returning officer for the presidential election, who also doubles as the Chief Electoral Commissioner of the Federation. And this is a duty that I'm privileged to perform, and it will be done here at this venue. As we commence the concluding processes, it is my duty to explain the procedure and set the ground rules for the proceedings as follows. 1. All accredited agents, observers, the media, the diplomatic community, and security agencies should adhere to the sitting positions assigned to them. 2. Results for each state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory shall be presented by the State Collation Officer for the presidential election, or simply put, the SCOP, who will also serve as the Collation Officer at state and the FCT level. After collecting the results at state level, the SCOP shall be accompanied to Abuja by the resident electoral commissioner and security agencies. On arrival at the Collation Center, the SCOP shall be received by the Collation Secretariat, which shall organize the sequence of presentation. The returning officer shall invite the SCOP, the State Collation Officer for the presidential election, accompanied by the resident electoral commissioner, to the seat we are going to provide to my left for the presentation of the results. The SCOP, following the format for the presentation of results, shall loudly announce the votes scored by each political party in the state, including reports of cancellations and areas where elections did not hold, if any. The returning officer then invites comments and observations, if any, from the polling agents. The returning officer requests the SCOP to submit the original copy of Form EC8D. When all the SCOPs have presented their results, the returning officer shall display the sealed copies of result sheets EC8DA, which is the summary of results of elections on state-by-state basis. The EC8E, the declaration of results for the election, and EC40G3, summary of registered voters in the polling units where elections were either cancelled or not held. And I will have the privilege of displaying the blank forms before proceeding starts after the receipt of the reports from the various state collation officers. Next, the returning officer shall complete the EC8DA and announce the votes scored by each party, and thereafter will invite the polling agents to endorse the form. The returning officer then completes the EC40G3 and compares it with Form EC8DA to ascertain if any of the candidates has satisfied the requirements of the law to proceed with declaration. If satisfied, the returning officer completes Form EC8E and makes a declaration of winner. And finally, the returning officer invites the agents of political parties to receive duplicate copies of the EC8DA and EC8E, which is the final declaration of results. Having set the ground rules, from today, the Collation Center is hereby declared open until the final determination of the 2023 presidential election. During the course of proceedings, there may be interlude or adjournments. This will be announced by the returning officer as the need arises. As soon as any of the scopes arrives, the process of collation will begin. Once the process begins, the Collation Center will be open all day and all night, subject only to short breaks as may be announced by the returning officer. The official results will be shown on several screens here at the Collation Center. There are a number of screens to my left and right. There is also a giant screen behind me on which we'll be projecting the results that the scopes are presenting for collation. I appeal to all political parties and media organizations to draw their figures only from the official results released by the Commission as the only body constitutionally responsible for releasing official election figures. When the scopes arrive, they will sit in the open. So there will be seats at the end of the hall. To my right, you will see black leather chairs.
All right, we'll go back to Abuja at a later stage when we are indeed closer to hearing those election results, which are set indeed to be released today, as we can see there from that press conference. Electoral Commission of Nigeria there at the Results Center will take you right there as soon as there's more information. Of course, the first results of Nigeria's tightest presidential election since military rule expected then to be announced. A record 90 million people, as we understand, registered to vote in those presidential and parliamentary polls. We'll take you back there in a short while.